Did you vote for Hillary Clinton?
Yes, I did, ma'am, and this is my brother. I didn't. I voted for Donald Trump.
Why are you gay?
Last of Us 2, a game that had so much potential, a game that had so much hype, but a game that didn't quite deliver, to say the least. If I would say the most, then this game is probably one of the biggest disappointments in gaming history. And I'm not exaggerating, alright? This game fucking sucks. The story in this game is probably one of the worst stories that I've ever seen. That's mainly part to a few things. At least for me, it was part to a few things. And this video, I'm gonna be talking about the few things that really bothered me about this game. And just explaining why I didn't like them. Or just, telling you guys why this game is not great. Which I think you probably already know, but I need to make a video, so I'm making this video, shut up. So when the leaks for this game first came out and everyone was saying how terrible the story was and everything was just too dark and gloomy and there was nothing good about the game, I was optimistic. Because I thought you can't judge a game just because of some story points and, all the leaks. I was optimistic to see if the game would be good. Because even though I'm not a huge fan of The Last of Us games, I was a huge fan of the first game's story. I really like the first game story. It's definitely one of my favorite stories in video games. So I wanted to see a great story from Last of Us 2. And believe it or not, when the leaks came out and I heard about the story, I thought it might actually be good. If the game was executed well, I thought it actually might turn out to be good. But spoiler alert, it wasn't. So I'm gonna start with the first scene that really made me think, oh crap, this is not gonna be a good game. And that was Joel's death scene. Now, I don't mind them killing off Joel. Like, it's fine to kill off a main character in a sequel or like halfway through the movie or anything like that, because sometimes in movies, and especially now in movies or games, main characters seem to be immortal, like nothing can ever kill them. I'm not talking about all media, I'm just talking about some of them. So it was good to see a main character be killed off. Even though it was Joel, who was a really good character, I was fine with him being dead. It's the way that they killed him is what I can't accept.
Stupid.
Oh man. You don't get to rush this.
Nice. Now, when I first saw the scene, I wasn't really bothered by it. I thought, alright, that's not bad, that's a pretty cool scene. But then I thought about the scene and what it actually meant, and thanks to one of my friends, he kind of explained what Joel's character was more to me, and I understood why this scene was really bad. And that's because Joel is a very careful and cautious character. He doesn't just walk into a room expecting nothing and then just get shot in the knee. He is very careful and cautious when it comes to meeting new people in this, post-apocalyptic world, because he knows not to trust anyone so easily. So for just him to just go into a room with so many people and not even be somewhat careful and just plain out say his name like that, even though he knows that he might have enemies pretty much everywhere, was completely out of character, and that just doesn't seem like what Joel would do. You could argue the fact that it was Joel's brother, Tommy, who, kind of initiated that, but still, Joel should have been more careful. He shouldn't have died so easily. At least he should have put up some form of a fight before he died. He died way too easily and way too nonchalant. He was like, hey guys, my name's Joe. So, after seeing Joel die right in front of her eyes and not being able to do anything, Ellie obviously goes on a crusade to kill Abby. Because, revenge is the main plot of this story, and that is the main plot of this story, and that's the driving force behind the entire game. Now, the game makes it very apparent to push down this one fact, which is revenge equals bad. Which is fine, trying to have a message in your story and trying to tell something deeper than just a fucking revenge story is good. But I don't think they did it in a right way. It's sometimes a bit overwhelming and too much that they try to push this message of revenge is not good and you shouldn't take revenge on people. Now, after the old theater kerfuffle where we are playing as Abby and hunting down Ellie, and which was a pretty cool fight, I gotta say. I know some people didn't like that fight, but I think that fight was pretty cool because we finally got to see how Ellie would fight in a fight, in an opposite end. We were in the opposite side of Ellie and see how she would fight, which I think was a pretty cool idea for a fight scene. So after that whole scene, Abby finally beats Ellie and she gives Ellie mercy and she leaves her. And then we cut to a scene where Ellie and Dina are living together in a house and they have a child. The old good family lives that we need in a post-apocalyptic world, of course. So, and then Tommy visits the house and says that they found Ellie's location. Now, obviously, hearing that, Ellie gets aggravated. Of course, she still wants revenge for Abby killing Joel. It's not really an easy thing to let go of. So, after a lot of confusion, a lot of infighting and shit like that, after talking to Dina for a little bit, Ellie decides to go after Abby again, and then the entire kerfuffle with the ending and all that crap, which I will talk about in a bit. But let me just talk about this entire thing that just happened right now. I don't think that Ellie should have gone after Abby again. I think that fight scene in the theater and the ending of that fight was good enough for their relationship. And when I say relationship, I'm not talking about, them having any sexual relationship. I'm just talking about trying to kill each other type of relationship, which is unfortunately what I had with my ex-girlfriend. So when Tommy came with the news that they found Abby, Ellie obviously should have been conflicted. Yes, she should have thought about going after Abby again. But after talking to Dina and realizing that they have a better life here and it's the things in the past are in the past, she should have decided not to go. But that doesn't mean that Abby should have gotten away scot-free. Now, there is another character that could have gone after Abby, and that is Tommy, of course, because Tommy is Joel's friend, and obviously he cannot let that go. So in my version of the game, instead of Ellie, Tommy goes after Abby, and obviously all that kerfuffle in the island happens, and then, Tommy ends up killing Abby. Now, I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit, about the ending and how I didn't like the ending and how what I'm suggesting should have been the ending. For me, the ending of the game was very unsatisfying. Now, I don't mean that because Abby didn't die. Well, who am I kidding? Yeah, of course it was because Abby didn't die, because she deserved to die. So in my version of the story, as I mentioned before, Tommy goes after Abby, and then obviously he finds her in that, beach thingy where they're all tied up. He cuts her down and they both go to the beach. You know what happens in the beach. And they fight it out. And Tommy, fucking shotgun to the face, kills Abby. And then he turns around, walks up to the boat where Liv is at. He looks at him, and then the screen cuts to black. And then we cut to Ellie's house where Dina and JJ, their child, are hanging out together. And then Ellie goes upstairs to pick up the guitar. She looks at the guitar for a moment, and then we get that flashback of, Ellie and Joel talking to each other, and they're talking about coffee and, just all the remorse that they had. That scene is really a really important and good scene, and that scene needs to be in the game. So after that flashback is over, and then she picks up the guitar and plays for the one last time in the game. She plays the song that Joel taught her, and then she leaves the guitar by the window and she walks off. And then of course the classic Last of Us 2 melody plays in the background while they pan into the guitar, and then we cut to black, credits roll. Thank you very much. There you go, I fixed the ending of Last of Us 2. You're welcome. Is it a perfect ending? Absolutely fucking not. Is it a way better ending? I would think so. At least for me, this ending that I mentioned now would be better than what they gave us. Now, I can definitely see what they were going for in the story. This game has a good story somewhere hidden in there, but because of poor decisions and crappy storytelling and horrible structuring of the story, it just all falls apart and becomes this mess of a story, and it just sucks. And if I were to say one great thing about this game, that would be what would I say? One good thing about, I guess, lesbians.